Welcome back to the Redline Report, powered by HireMaster. I'm Shasta Jones. Today, we're talking about electronic tracking, the recent hiring burst, industry update, and more. It's been 5 years since the U.S. made electronic logging devices, or ELDs, mandatory on all trucks. The fatal work injury rate per 100,000 equivalent workers went from 23.6 in 2013 to 28.8 in 2021. The Business Insider article is showing the safety technology might be making trucking less safe. The devices help ensure truckers don't drive longer than they should, a maximum of 11 hours per day, to avoid fatigue and keep roads safe. It's hard to tell if that decline has manifested yet. Between 2017 and 2019, crashes involving large trucks increased by 11% before decreasing dramatically during the pandemic in 2020, according to FMCSA data. Data for 2021 is not yet available, so we will all be interested to see what that looks like. In a recent Business Insider article, a couple of professional drivers put things into perspective for us. For example, Brian Pape said, quote, "If you're 30 minutes from home and you get to your 11 hours, you must shut down or else you get an automatic hours of service violation," end quote. Pape has since left the industry after 13 years. Another driver, Brian Stauffer, stated that, quote, "ELDs don't allow for adjustment, and that a driver that has reached the 11-hour limit shouldn't be forced to stop in a high-crime area," end quote. Todd Spencer, CEO of the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association, wrote an open letter to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration last November, stating that, quote, "There was never sufficient research indicating the mandate would improve highway safety, and the agency still lacks data demonstrating any positive safety results since its full implementation," end quote. Additionally, the strict enforcement of hours of service brought by ELDs can leave truckers feeling like they don't have autonomy over their own job, and they cannot be trusted to decide what's the safest condition to drive. If you were shocked by the January hiring burst, you were not alone. Economists were left stunned by the 500,000 plus jobs added to the market. For nearly a year, the Federal Reserve has been on a mission to cool down the job market to help curb the nation's worst inflation bout in 4 decades. But the job market hasn't been cooperating. Most recently, on February 3rd, employers added an astonishing 517,000 jobs last month, and the unemployment rate dipped to 3.4%, the lowest level since 1969. The job gain was so large, it left economists scratching their heads and wondering why the Federal Reserve's aggressive interest rate hikes haven't slowed hiring at a time when many foresee a recession nearing. In a recent Transport Topics article, Seema Shah, Chief Global Strategist at Principal Asset Management, noted, quote, "This is a labor market on heat. To see the Fed stop raising rates and entertain ideas of rate cuts when there is such explosive economic news coming in," end quote. Yet companies are still seeking more workers and are hanging tightly onto the ones they have. Putting aside some high-profile layoffs at big tech companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and others, most workers are enjoying an unusual level of job security, even at a time when many economists foresee a recession approaching. For all of 2022, the economy added a sizzling average of roughly 375,000 jobs a month. That was a pace vigorous enough to have contributed to some of the painful inflation Americans have endured. Like we all know, a tight job market tends to put upward pressure on wages, which push inflation. Over the past year or so, the job market has earned the label the Great Resignation because jobs are so plentiful and many workers are willing to change jobs to seek better pay or working conditions. Are you having a slow start to the new year and not meeting your monthly hire goals? Let HireMaster's account team step in and assist in your hire goals while we use our full arsenal of products. Don't struggle alone when you have a full team to support you. Let's talk. A recent white paper report shared an in-depth overview across the trucking, maritime, and intermodal markets, as well as what to expect in the coming weeks. The truckload market recovered from the holidays, but shows signs of further decline in the first quarter. The intermodal market is the tale of two container sizes. Domestic intermodal volumes are on the decline, while international intermodal volumes have steadily increased. The ocean market experienced no increase associated with the Lunar New Year, and how volume levels react following the holiday will be important for freight volumes during quarter two to keep an eye on. The labor market continues to exceed expectations despite layoffs hitting some of the largest tech companies in the world. The Federal Reserve continues to fight inflation, but consumers continue to take on new debt despite increasing interest rates. The rise in outstanding credit, coupled with retail spending trends, will be something to monitor throughout the first half of the year. Visit freightwaves.com for the full detailed report. This week, we are going to give you a few tips on how to reduce your fleet's downtime. Number 1, go back to the basics. While pre- and post-trip inspections are mandated, they are completed with varying levels of thoroughness. It is not a bad idea to periodically review the proper way to perform a pre- or post-trip inspection. Even if it seems like fairly basic stuff, getting the basics right is the foundation for keeping trucks operating properly. Number 2, engage technicians. Make sure your technicians know the value you place on driver vehicle inspection reports. They need to take seriously anything drivers note on their DVIRs. Number 3, collect and analyze data from all service events. You need to have a system that captures data from every service event, whether that service is performed in your shop or by an outside service provider. This will allow you to spot wear and failure trends, which you can then proactively address. Thank you for joining us for this week's Redline Report. I'm Shasta Jones. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch each episode of the Redline Report powered by HireMaster. See you next week.